Ta-da! All right. I did comb my hair earlier today. You'd never know it. I was outside for a while.
No judging.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, I was kind of looking at some of my other videos, and I'm like, they kind of drag on. So I picked some recipes that are quick, and because that's what we all kind of need in our life, right? Quick, nutritious, healthy, things like that. And so I only picked out just a few things here. One is the salad that I'm making. And I know we're heading more into the cooler months, colder months for those of us up here. And we don't eat as many salads, and it's not that you have to keep eating salads, but it's
Ooh, cute.
it's good to keep some of that fresh fruit and vegetable mixture, however you want to do it, as part of your meals. I do eat more cooked during the winter time because that's what my digestion needs, that's what my system needs. But I still consume raw fruits and vegetables and things, and our gut needs that. Our gut doesn't really know directly, like it doesn't have a thermometer gauge to go and say, oh guys, we're in winter now, or it's summertime, but it can sense, because it's got its own biome, right? It's that microbiome. So it can sense when we change our eating habits with the seasons. And so what it does is it helps build the bacterias that we need to build our immune system, so we can, like now we're going through this transition, Saturday, I believe it's Saturday the 23rd is the equinox. So that's the official autumnal equinox if you're on this side of the globe. It's the spring equinox if you're down under. But it's still a transition. And so starting to incorporate maybe a little more cooked foods, a little more, pumpkin, squash, for those, whatever is local, is going to help feed those good bacterias along with the fresh fruits and vegetables, which need that good fiber and all the vitamins and minerals that come from that variety. So that's my plug for why I was making a salad. That, and I'm trying to get these grandkids to eat a few more. We will be incorporating more pumpkins and apples and things like that as we move more into October and November in that area. So what kind of local things do you guys have in your area?
Same here. Pumpkins, apples, squash.
Squashes.
Mhm.
Because you're
Kale and
what?
spinach are on the rebound now that it's cooler again. Those things are back. Cabbages, things like that.
Yep, exactly. And you can always do an indoor garden. I have a little arrow garden, and I kind of, during the summertime, I don't do as much with it, but I kind of vary it between different herbs and salad greens and things like that. I also use this thing called hamama. It's for sprouts and microgreens. And so I use that to also fill in the gaps, give me more fresh greenery experience during the winter times. And they're always upgrading. Now they've got things like garlic scapes and stuff like that. So it's fun to watch as they grow. Basically what it is you get a seed quilt, and so everything is already in there, and you have a tray that you put it in with some water, and that's all you do is just watch to make sure that it grows, has enough water. And then, like, one of the things I get is wheatgrass. So then I just take my wheatgrass or my scissors, and then trim them down, and I have them up high because I have cats.
Yeah.
And then I juice them, and some of it I dehydrate, some I freeze of the juice. So all good.
You dehydrate the wheatgrass juice?
Yeah, it's really thick. It's not very thin.
I know. Yeah.
And
I
you
know.
just put it on the Paraflex tray and put it in the dehydrator, and it gets I wouldn't say it necessarily gets like the powders, like your green powders or whatever,
Yeah.
but it gets pretty close. So, and then I just keep that in a jar.
I've never tried dehydrating it. I know they
Yeah.
sell dehydrated juice, but I've never tried dehydrating it. The juice that I make with I've had a juicer that's about 30 years old for wheatgrass. It's an
Yeah.
ancient thing. It's ancient, but it works.
That's
And
right.
so I don't remember. I haven't.
I just had somebody call me twice that I don't normally hear from, so I'm gonna put myself on pause for a second, and okay, all is well. Anyway, that's just my way of giving you some resources to have more freshness in your life while you're making your foods, and however it works for you. You know, we all live in different areas. I live in a fairly rural area, so it's harder to get to the store, especially during the winter time if you're having blizzards and so forth. And so this is a way that I can keep that part up. You know, a seed is it's the best food there is, especially after you've soaked and sprouted it, because it has protein, fats, and carbohydrates, along with an assortment of minerals and vitamins. So during the winter time, I always make sure I have those and in that state, because that's what our body needs. You know, back in the old days, as good as they were, they didn't, everything was preserved, like canning and so forth, because that's what they had. But you lose a lot when you do that. I mean, I can, so it's not like I have anything against it, but I always like to make sure I can have fresh, so that it can really nourish our body. And the other piece to that is you have more fiber, which again is what our gut microbiome needs to be good and healthy, is that good fiber. So you can only use so much Metamucil or psyllium husk and all those powders and things. You need the diversity of the fresh fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
So with that being said, just gotta shut the stove off. I started some of this already. So I have grated carrots, and I shredded up some purple cabbage, as well as some kale. And I did about a cup or two of each, so you can see, and it's just a really pretty.
It is really pretty. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, and
That
you know, that's actually the first part of our digestion, is what our eyes look at. That's why it's so important to sit down for a moment and look at what you're eating, not at your phone. As wonderful as they are, not the people around you. Look at your food, you know, and then take a big sniff and whiff, and that just gets all of those enzymes going. You know, your saliva has digestive enzymes. That's why keeping your oral microbiome healthy is good too. That's a whole nother topic. And then small bites, and then you put your fork down and you chew your food. you're supposed to chew it enough so that it's almost
Liquid.
liquid. Exactly. And I can tell you from watching my grandkids and my kids as they were growing up, that didn't, I was like, really? What did you just eat? And they kind of look at you, well, the food. It's like, can you tell me about it? So I'm not saying they always have followed through on it, but they certainly were given the instruction. Anyway, so again, you can buy, I shredded the carrots, but you can buy bags of shredded carrots and all this, some of these other things. I don't think you can buy shredded kale, but the idea is to make sure you get it. And if that's the way you can make sure that you get it and in your bowl, on your plate, then I say go for it. There is something to be said about taking your knife and going through the motion of connecting with your food and chopping and shredding it yourself. But done is better than perfect. And so so that's that part. I have some beans, these are Great Northern beans. Any bean can really work. The white beans have a good starch, again, that are good for feeding your microbiome. So that's the white navy beans, cannellini beans, Great Northern beans, any of those types of beans have a special starch that's good for feeding your microbiome. Because again, we're heading into the fall. I have some dried, unsweetened cranberries. I think if I lived in Maine or I do at Thanksgiving time, we'll get the raw cranberries and then dehydrate them because they're good for things like this, just salads and stuff like that. The closest I've gotten to sweetening them is soaking them first in like orange juice. And that just gives it a really nice flavor. So there's that. And oh, so then I cooked the quinoa. Quinoa again does not take very long. Huge source of protein. So if anybody says, where's your protein? Well, the quinoa is a good source of it. You can also add in, you know, chicken, or if you have bacon or whatever, put that in there as well. So I'm not telling you not to eat meat, but you don't have to worry about protein if all you're doing is putting in the quinoa. Quite frankly, everything breaks down to amino acids. So every single food you eat has some protein in it. Leafy greens have a good amount of protein, especially the darker ones, like the darker kales and arugula and things like that. But it's whatever your protein needs are. I was just listening to Mike Mutzel. If you don't listen to him, he's pretty smart, and he's also pretty cute. I can say that because I'm old, and it's okay to look. It has nothing to do. I love my husband. He's adorable. But he was sharing, you know, you hear a lot about the keto diet with high fat and things like that. But he was showing, especially as people age, their need for protein goes up exponentially. And it makes sense, right? We have tissues that are breaking down that need that help. And that collagen and everything like that. So it's good to add in a little more protein. Make sure you're getting some good protein. The other piece to that is making sure your body is breaking down the protein and all of these other foods. So this is where having good stomach acid is really important. People I work with, the first thing I teach them is how to increase their stomach acid. So that's things like lemon juice. So I squeeze the lemon here. Do some lemon juice in your water first thing in the morning. Or you could use apple cider vinegar or both. I also, once or twice a week, will put cranberry juice, lemon juice, and apple juice in my water. and have that, and that'll, it's a great way to kickstart your stomach acid. If you're taking medications like thyroid or whatever, I usually tell people, because I'm not a medical doctor, talk to your doctor about it, make sure it's okay. Because there are some thyroid prescriptions you don't need to worry about this, but most you have to do on an empty stomach. So do that first, wait your half hour, 45 minutes, then do this. This will also, anytime you do things to increase your stomach acid, if there's any idea you have an overgrowth of H. pylori, that will give them an environment they don't survive in. They thrive in low stomach acid. And so that's, again, so that's how you start your day. Before you eat, or right as you're eating, you can take digestive enzymes. Before you eat, like as you're starting to prepare your meal, take a squirt or a shot of digestive bitters. And that's where it's going to help the enzymes in your mouth, especially when you spray. So those are 3 ideas on what you can do to increase your stomach acid so that you can break down the foods that you're eating and your body can digest it and absorb it. Because you could take the best supplements, eat the best food, but if your body's not breaking it down, you don't get all the benefit of it. So now I'll go get the quinoa. So quinoa, like I said, lots and lots of protein. It's also very quick cooking. If you can find it pre-soaked, that's probably the best. Quinoa has something in it called saponins, and that's where we get soap from. So if you cook quinoa without rinsing or soaking it or something first, you will get a little bit of a soapy flavor. When you do rinse it, so I just take, where did I put it? Here it is. I just take my strainer, put it in, and rinse until there's none of that foamy, soapy stuff in it. That's the way that works best for me. You can soak it ahead of time and then rinse it through here. But I have started seeing some where they've already done that process and you don't need to worry about it. So anyway, you have had quinoa, right, Beatrice? And you too? Okay,
Yes.
so you know what it looks like. There's different colors. It doesn't really mean anything. It's, as at least in my research, this is tricolor. So I'm going to put this in here. Actually, I'm going to wait until this cools off a bit to put it in there. And then I've got some olive oil, mustard, and lemon juice that I'm going to put in there. Oh, and then some grated Romano cheese. You can buy Romano cheese like this in the same place that you get your Parmesan cheese. You can probably buy Romano cheese if you live in a big enough town, which I do not. So I just bought the grated Parmesan cheese. And so I'm going to put in 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I've been researching olive oil because, again, it's hard for me to find good olive oil. And there's this guy who travels the world, and it's something like Fresh Pressed Oil, I think is the website. And he's worked deals with all these different olive farmers who fresh press their olive oil. And it's a little more expensive, but from the people I've talked to, they said the taste is phenomenal.
Really?
Because you're getting fresh pressed olive oil, which I have a feeling none of us really knows what that tastes like. So anyway, I will find that link and put it in the description of this video recording. So I'm putting 3 tablespoons in there. You can put however much you want. This is a Dijon mustard, nothing fancy. It's from the store because that's what I have. And this is about a half a tablespoon or more if you like it. Again, this is your food. You do it how you like it. If you want more olive oil, put more olive oil in. If you want to use avocado oil, use avocado oil. If you, oh, there's Rose. You want to use something else, use something else. I just happen to like these flavors in more of an autumnal salad dressing. And then this is a half of a lemon. I'm just going to pour that in and let that sit. Part of why I'm letting it sit and marinate ahead of time, here's my spoon, is because kale is a little tougher. And so that olive oil will kind of soften it and marinate it. And that's why shredding it, it gives you more of that surface volume. Who says you don't use science every day? Get my salad tossers. Anyway, so let's see. I hear Rose.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Okay.
There she is.
I'm sorry I missed part.
That's
Time
okay.
got away from
We,
me.
you know, we've just been talking. I tell you what, I would love to hear what you guys heard that I've been talking about.
Quiz, no fair.
But that helps me to know.
No, 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 I'm kidding. She was telling us how important our microbiome is and how to increase our stomach acid with a little bit of lemon juice or bitters. Get it started in the morning.
Before you eat
Oh.
anything, right?
Yeah. And the importance of fresh fruits and vegetables. Because you've got all sorts of fiber and other goodness in there.
I'm just kind of chuckling at this because I buy organic, but I got a little frustrated because I started having some issues and went and got my urine tested and found out those issues are E. coli.
Oh,
And where does that come from? The fruits and the vegetables and stuff. So
well,
I-
and again, it's the overgrowth. So I get it. I totally get it. But there's a way to work with that. And actually, that's where having the good stomach acid is helpful.
that's
Because,
hard for me because I'm minus a gallbladder.
well, your stomach acid isn't totally dependent on that, but that's where eating things like ginger is really important. Bile salts can be really helpful with that as well. But
Okay.
yeah,
I got
'cause
the ginger down, but not bile salts.
bile salts can be helpful with that. It'll break down and thin the bile, which can help sterilize your system.
Okay.
So you might want to consider that. So I'll show you what I've got so far. and we all thought it looked pretty.
Pretty.
Oh, it is. I like
Yeah.
all the colors.
Yes. So
So
we've
you
got
use purple cabbage
purple
instead of
cabbage.
regular?
Yep, well, and then I've got kale with the purple, and then
Yep.
shredded carrots. And I have some white beans in there. These are Great Northern beans. And then I sprinkled on some grated Romano cheese. You can use whatever. You can use vegan cheese. Honestly, you can grate or take a coffee grinder and grate down nuts and seeds, so like Brazil nuts. And that will also give you some good fats, and the Brazil nuts themselves have a little bit of a cheesy taste to it. You could also add some nutritional yeast to that, and it gives it what they call noosh, a cheesy flavor to it. That's what they call it.
Okay.
So I've got that part down so far, and then I added in 3 tablespoons of olive oil, about a half a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and the juice of half a lemon. And I was waiting for my quinoa to cool a little bit and not dump it on my computer. And I'm going to add that to it, and so that will be our meal. And
I like quinoa.
yeah, quinoa. So, and I'm not rice phobic. It's just some people don't do as well with rice. So I don't know of really anybody who has issues with quinoa. So in my world, it's fairly safe, but everybody's different. And this is why, yeah, this is why one of the things I teach people to do, whether they're diabetic or not, is to use a glucose monitor.
Yep.
And I bet you do, Rose.
The keto mojo,
You have a keto mojo? Yep, there you go. And so then you can see how your body is feeling, what its response is after it eats certain foods. And you don't have to do it like forever and ever with every meal, but it gives you an idea. It's also interesting before and after you exercise to see what happens.
Yeah.
Have a discussion with your husband and see what happens to your blood sugar or your kids or anybody else. It's just an indicator that, oh, look, this is happening. This is why it's important to take a deep breath and just calm yourself down. It lowers your blood sugar, which is good for your health. And that's also good for your microbiome. So there we go. The other thing I was going to make is this Russian dressing. And let's see.
I saw that in another recipe that you had posted, and then I didn't see the recipe for the Russian dressing. So I thought,
yeah, I was waiting for somebody to ask me. So what's that Russian dressing
somewhere? Or
you can buy Russian dressing.
I've never seen it.
It's got a little spice to it.
Homemade is always better. I like having control over what's in it.
It's a reddish color. I'm using ketchup. You can use tomato paste. A combination of tomato paste and tomato sauce. And but it's got that tomato base to it. It has a little bit of a different taste than a French dressing, because it uses for its spices the parsley, chives, and dill.
I like all of those.
Yeah, so it's kind of a cross between French and ranch. It's French. Maybe it's not Russian, it's French. Anyway, and what's nice about this particular one is you don't need to do it in a blender. You can just whisk it in a bowl. And then what I like to do is about once a week or so make some type of a dressing and keep it in a little jar in the refrigerator, and it's just always there. You can also
Yeah,
pop that dressing in your purse if you know you're gonna go out somewhere and you wanna use, like you said, your homemade dressing, so you don't have to worry about the extra sugars or other ingredients that are in there. They actually make these really cool little kind of silicone squeeze bottles that are meant just for salad dressings. So
oh, cool.
um,
I'll look for one of those.
yeah, I mean, I figure if they have it at my store, they're probably all over the world. 'Cause-
Yeah, I just never have looked for it before. It might even be at our food co-op.
Oh, probably for sure. So I'm gonna get my ingredients real quick. I thought I had them here, but I am missing a couple things. I will be right back.
Wow. I like her recipes.
Yeah, I do too. I'm interested to do that apple cobbler smoothie. Sorry, my
That sounds
camera
good
is
too.
falling down and I can't keep it in one position. Exactly.
She just is so knowledgeable about so many things.
Yeah.
I like it. This is where encyclopedias come in good. You know, you stack your books up and maybe it'll keep your camera up for you.
It actually hangs over the monitor and I've just switched monitors and it's not liking the new one. It's a different shape
Uh-oh.
at the top or something and it doesn't want to curve around.
Uh, oh goodness. Your photos in the background look pretty. Did you go on a vacation there?
Yeah, they're Hawaii photos. My husband
Pretty.
took them. One's Kauai, one's Maui. Actually, two are Kauai. The one is too far over, you can't see it, but it's a waterfall. Yeah, that was one of our dream trips.
Nice. Hmm. Nina, Nina. Hi.
Okay. And then the other thing is, so I have Bragg's liquid aminos.
Yep.
I have used coconut aminos in the past. I'm just out right now, but you can use this. You could also use tamari or soy sauce. The problem with soy sauce, outside the fact that it generally has more salt or MSG, is it it has wheat in it. So if you're gluten sensitive, that might be something to look at. Also, if you, I have nothing against soy. It's, some people have estrogen issues, especially if they're younger, and avoiding soy might be something that they want to do. Honestly, the older we get, the more we might want some of the estrogen. So, you know, it just depends upon what your levels are. I don't like saying anything is completely bad. It's what does your body need? Chemicals, no, there you'll probably get me saying, let's stay away from GMO. Anyway, so I am going to put some of my mayonnaise in there. And
What kind of mayo are you using, Lynn?
This is not a good one, so I'm not showing you.
Oh, darn.
I thought I had Primal Kitchen. It is gone. So, sometimes what happens, so like my daughter just had a baby and I go over and stock her up. I do this with other kids of mine. And I think what I did is I gave her my good mayo. Cause you know, I want her, she's breastfeeding and I want her to have good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, but anyway, what I usually have on hand, and I couldn't find anything like it around here when I was shopping, but it's this Primal Kitchen. It's an avocado oil mayo,
Mm-hmm.
and that
I've
works out
used
pretty
it
well.
before
Yep.
and I like it. Their chipotle is good too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can actually make your own mayo, but you know, some days I don't even know where the day went. So I am using a cup of the mayo. I'm just using mayo from the store that's closest to me. And they, you know, this is why we say blessing over our food. Dear God, I did the best I could today. Take it the rest of the way.
Yep. Don't beat yourself up over it.
No. And then I only have Heinz ketchup. So there, that's all I got here. I know there's some amazing ketchups out there. I just don't have it.
Mm-hmm. I like Woodstock ketchup.
What's it called?
Woodstock.
A Woodstock.
Yeah.
Huh, I will have to look for that.
And it's grandkid approved.
You know,
They
That
seem
says a
to
lot.
be fussy ketchup eaters over there.
oh yeah, I
My
know what you
daughter's got
mean.
4 kids, and I figured if they'll eat it, I'll buy it.
There you go. That's kind of the rule of thumb around here with my grandkids living with me. But I try. And I'm not sneaky about it. I let them know. Because I remember there was some actor comedian's wife who wrote a cookbook about how to sneak vegetables and stuff into your kids' food. And I'm like, why would I want to sneak it? I'm going to be honest. You're eating this food. It's good for you. And I spent all day making it. Just kidding. I didn't do that. But I told them what it was.
Oh.
So that, you know. So this, and this is a whole grain mustard. So there you
Okay.
go. You can use, actually, I think what I'm going to do is use a tablespoon of this and a tablespoon of my Dijon. But they actually make brown mustard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find it, I would encourage you to get it. It's got a really nice tang to it.
So Lynn, your Russian dressing is in addition to the lemon juice mustard that you already put in?
I'm not necessarily going to use it on this.
Okay.
What I generally do is I'll taste it the way I have it, and then I might add some to it because maybe I do want another kick. And that's why I have this, because sometimes I'll put in lemon juice and vinegar and maybe some spices, and I'm like, you know, feeling a little frisky today. I want more. And so that's what I do. I'm not going to use quite as much of the Bragg's liquid aminos as I would the coconut aminos. This is also really a good substitute for salt. Coconut aminos, Bragg's aminos, anything like that is a good substitute. Kelp seasoning is good. Things like that. They're really good for if you're trying to get away from too much salt. and again, I'm not salt phobic, I like a good Himalayan pink salt, or there's some good
Yeah.
black salts or whatever. If I'm against anything, it's probably the iodized salts. All right, so we're gonna put in some seasoning here. And I also encourage you to play around with your own seasonings and see what works for you. You know, we have tons and tons of recipes, but what does your body like? What does your body need? When you're making something like
Mhm.
this, just ask it, what do you want today?
My grandkids call themselves guinea pigs.
Yep, and they're still alive, right?
Yep. And actually, you know, they found some things they liked. The one thing that really fascinated them was making the, you know, taco meat recipe.
Oh, with
And-
the walnuts and everything?
Yeah,
Or-
with the walnuts and the cilantro and, you know, the Mexican spices. And my grandson looked at it and he could see the cilantro, you know, chopped up real fine in there. And he thought
Yeah.
it was mold. So he
Oh!
proceeded to tell me that the food I was putting on the table was moldy. And I
Huh.
said to him, that's an herb. Just take a bite. Take a small bite of that. And he goes, what is it? I said, it's taco meat. And he goes, it doesn't look like it. So then he takes a bite and he says to me, where's the meat? It tastes like meat, but where's the meat?
The
And I said,
meat.
there isn't any.
There's no animal protein in here at all.
No, but he ended up liking it. So I gave it to him in a taco shell then, and
And it passed?
yeah.
Mm.
But it's like if you can get the oldest one to try it and he says he likes it, the other three will follow. So
Follow. There you
you're always
go.
picking on the same kid. And he said, so what are we going to be guinea pigs on today?
Today, yep, my grandkids are growing up with that. So this is what it looks like. It almost looks like Thousand Island, I guess I should say.
Yes, it looks good.
But yeah, I was just tasting it. And it's grandmother approved. But yeah, I realized you're just looking at me going, oh, what is she doing? So I just took my fork, and so you could see it just took like no time at all to put that together. And there's enough there that you can, you know, if I wanted to add more ketchup in, I could do that. If I wanted to change up some herbs, I could do that. But it just doesn't, that one doesn't take very long at all. And so, like I said at the beginning, I wanted to make sure you had some good ideas that were fast and easy, because we all have those days, those
Mhm.
lives.
That's
The
true.
salad is something you can make ahead of time. And you don't even have to put it all together if you don't want to. But if you have all the vegetables cut and prepped and the quinoa's all cooked, you can just stick everything together in a jiffy.
Mhm.
And add whatever dressing you want to on it. So having the foods there and having them prepped is 3/4 of the journey to making sure you actually eat it. So, any questions so far?
What time's dinner?
Whenever you
Oh.
get here. Well, and this is good for me today, because when we're done here, I have another call I'm helping with, and then I have a client, and then I take my grandson to church. And so I was like, this is good timing for me.
You got a full dance card today.
Yeah, it started a while ago too. It was Wacky Wednesday day because it's homecoming week. So my grandson got up a little after 6 and we put
Aw.
his pants, his shorts are on as a top. And then he put a shirt on as pants, and then we have them knotted together in the back. And he wore, different different slippers and shoes on each foot, and so that was fun.
That sounds worth a post.
And well, I could, this house could be a reality show, no problem. I'm serious. What was it, that movie, The Truman Show, where they had that camera there? They had
Oh,
different
yeah.
cameras around as he grew up from a baby. I'm like, man, they could do that here, no problem. And because nobody, I think, ever sleeps. I may go to sleep at some point in time, but I just, because my husband works overnight and I'm getting kids. I just found a new thing on the device where I can, it comes off of my device, so I can control their device, and that's called downtime. So I can shut it off like at 10 and not let it go back on till like 7 or something. And they may not like me, but
Meanie.
my sleep patterns would. Anyway, so speaking of quick and easy is a smoothie. Now, again, I know we're going into the colder season, and you can still have a type of smoothie. You can just use warm water or warm up your milk or whatever liquid you use. And you could also use savory foods. You can make more like a soup. A miso soup is great in the morning because that warms up your belly, and miso is a fermented product. It's not just soy. They make different misos, and but it's fermented, so it gives you good probiotics. And so you make your brothy soup, put that in your bowl, take a little bit of your miso and put that in there, because it is fermented. You don't want to heat it up too much. And so if you put it in your soup right before you eat, then you're still going to get all of that good probiotic goodness. But I think it's the Japanese who that's their mainstay in the morning is a miso soup, or at least it used to be. But yeah. So anyway, I'm using one that's a little more seasonal with apples. And again, apples are, so here, I call them the deformed apples from the tree. At first I thought they were pears, and I went, no, this is not a pear, because I don't have a pear tree. Why would I have pears by my apples? But they looked like a pear. Anyway, this one especially looked like a pear, but it is.
Oh my gosh.
It is an apple.
Interesting.
It's like what bees were pollinating this year. Anyway, so you can use apples. I like Granny Smith because they're lower glycemic. But honestly, I feel like if you use one locally grown in its season, in moderation, that's just as good as anything else. And here's so anyway, I'm gonna chop that up and put that in with some almond milk. You can use whatever kind of milk your body tolerates. I've actually been looking for some local farmers that have cows, dairy cows, to see if we could sneak in some raw milk now and then, because it's technically illegal. Go figure. But anyway, so if you can do that, they make camel milk, sheep's milk, yeah, goat milk. Yep, exactly. So whatever you can get.
Some of my family has goats.
There you go. Well, you're in like Flynn.
I just wondered about I am. They could live off the grid. They're raising grass-fed beef
Well,
And
there
they
you
don't grain,
go.
they don't grain finish. They just move the cows to the next field because they got 40 acres,
Nice.
you know, and the chickens are outside and they're organically fed and, you know.
And where do you live again?
In Michigan,
In Michigan? Okay.
yeah. And they live, you know, like maybe an hour and 15 minutes away. So they got chicken for meat and chicken for eggs. And then she makes goat milk soap and other products in addition to having the goat milk. And then she does garden. She does a really big garden, raises all her vegetables organically, and does maple syrup.
All right. We have,
Holy cow.
yeah, we have a place around here that does maple syrup. They do the syruping. And we can go there and help them tap their trees. Again, you know, you may have seen sometimes I'll use maple syrup in some of the recipes I've posted.
I noticed that.
Yeah, if your body can tolerate it, great. If it can't, try something else. Used to
Well,
be
I
able
thought
to
it-
find.
It
Go
just
ahead.
eats the greens.
I used to be able to find Jerusalem artichoke syrup, but I can't find it anymore. So, Yacon syrup is what I use sometimes instead of that, or recommend to it if somebody is having a hard time with it. If you can find sunchokes or artichokes or Jerusalem artichokes, you can actually make your own syrup. With it, all you do is juice them, and then you cook them on a low heat on the stove until it gets like syrup. And then you can use that.
Okay.
So,
Know that sounds very interesting.
yeah.
So how many of those would you use to get enough for syrup? Do you know?
I'm trying to remember. It's about 5 pounds
Okay.
to get enough, you know, because I'm assuming it's not something you're gonna, it's not like pancake syrup, right?
Right.
I just use it like to flavor or give a little sweetness to something. What I'm doing is cutting up the apple, in case you're wondering, what is she doing? This is a cooking show, right?
Nice.
So that is what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
And then I'll put in some protein powder. My protein powder isn't vanilla. But so it just naturally turns it's more of a green powder, and so it just turns everything green, which is fine. But it has lots of good stuff in there, like it has mint and things like that.
Nice.
You know,
Mint-
but
Mint's refreshing.
oh, mint is really, it can be. I mean, if you have certain gastrointestinal issues like acid reflux or something, you probably should be careful with mint because
With mint, yeah.
it relaxes the valve, and so it makes it easier for it to go up. Let's see, what am I gonna do here?
What I did for the summer was I got a bunch of lemons and ran it through the juicer. And then I put the juice in my ice cube trays.
Yeah,
So, and the opening on my water bottle is big enough for the ice cubes to
cube.
go in.
yeah,
So that was really refreshing.
yeah. I do that too. I love it. I love it. You know what's really nice too is if you put it in a spray bottle, I just thought of this,
Okay.
and let it melt and then put water in there. When you get like really hot, you can just spray a little bit, and that can be refreshing too.
Oh, wow. So do you refrigerate it then, or do you leave it?
And then you'd refrigerate it. Yep.
Okay.
Keep it cold. But Yeah. I bet you could put other things in there too. You could put mint in it. Who needs
Yeah,
expensive perfumes, right?
I don't buy that stuff anymore because I feel women are so targeted in products, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the makeups and the fingernail polishes and perfumes, and it's like,
I
so
don't
finally
need that.
I just quit. I'm thinking
Me
I don't care.
too. So I am using romaine lettuce. I like romaine because it has a good water content. Also it's milder tasting. But you can use whatever greens. You can buy those like clamshells of super greens or spring greens or whatever, and just stick it all in there. And let's see, what else did I say I was gonna put in there? Oh, you know what's interesting? Could not find apple pie spice for anything. So I think I'm going to use pumpkin pie spice because I already have that.
We went through
See?
that last year.
Yeah.
Bill was asking me, he's like, what's apple pie spice? I'm like, I don't know. I said, I can't find it. So he went on the internet and looked it up, and he was like, oh, well, I'm just gonna take a little of this, a little of that, and a little of that. And he made up something. I'm like, did you write it down? Well, no.
Oh,
Well, now we don't have any more.
well,
Oh, no.
I was thinking of doing that too, but I just plain old ran out of time. So for those who
Pumpkin's a
want to
good idea,
know,
though. That would be good with apple in the smoothie.
yeah,
Is that a seasonal, considered a seasonal item then, if you can't find
Probably.
it now?
well,
Wonder-
that's why I thought I'd be able to find it because, you know, we've got all these apple orchards and things like that. Basically it is, here it is, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, and cardamom.
Oh, I like cardamom. I put cardamom on my chai drink because I sprinkle it
Oh,
on
I
the top.
suppose, yeah. And I do have it. I have all these things. I could just sprinkle some of all of that in. It's very close to apple pie spice. So
Yep.
for those of you who want to know, this particular recipe is 4 tablespoons of cinnamon, 1.5 teaspoons of nutmeg, a half a teaspoon of allspice, a teaspoon of ginger, and 1.5 teaspoons of cardamom. So it's recorded. You can go back and listen. And
Nice.
we're about an hour in. So if you want to go back and look at that, you've got it there. So maybe I'll just go get some of those and start playing with it.
Cool. I like doing stuff like that. Sometimes my smoothies are clean out the refrigerator, whatever's left in there.
That's how you make the best smoothies and the best soups, right? Clean out the fridge.
Yeah, I did that. I just a 5-pound bag of carrots and added just ginger root and cinnamon to it. Well, then I decided I didn't want to throw the pulp out. So I steamed it, and I have a high-speed blender, and I took the steamed pulp and added some water to it, the ginger and the cinnamon, and I decided to throw some turmeric in there too, because my blender, after it runs like for 3 minutes, the soup is done. It comes out hot, but it ruined my container.
Oh, geez.
The turmeric stained it, and
Yeah.
that's not coming off, and I'm not going to use a bunch of chemicals to try to,
No, no.
Oh,
At
Beatrice
least you know what it
Delaney.
is.
but so it's looking ugly, but I know that it's clean.
Right.
What's that?
I was saying that I had juiced a 5-pound bag of carrots and I didn't want to throw the pulp away.
Oh, yeah.
So I steamed it and put it in my high-speed blender and added some water to it along with some ginger, cinnamon, and turmeric. Well,
Carrot
my
soup.
blender after 3 minutes, it's soup, so it's hot, right?
Yeah.
And it stained my container. So my container's looking really ugly, but I know that it's clean and I don't want to use chemicals on it just to try to get it to be
Yeah, clean.
the clear color that it should be. But I look at it and I just cringe. I'm like, oh man, part of me really wants to scrub
Clean
it
it up.
up.
Yeah. I
But I-
wonder if hydrogen peroxide would work.
I don't know. I'll try it. But I got
Cause
rid
I
of
use
a
that
lot of-
instead of bleach.
I don't use bleach.
Yeah, I don't either. I use the hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm gonna get my milk and
I got alternates for shampoo, toothpaste, dish soap. I just tried to just get rid of chemicals in my house.
all right, so I did this a little backwards. Usually I put the water in first, but I think it will be just fine. The reason I like to do that is it gets smoother more quickly. So anyway, I am gonna put, oh, I don't want to use that one. Hold on. The one I was gonna use had the mayonnaise in it. I don't want to put mayonnaise in my smoothie. So I'm gonna put about a cup of almond milk. And just so you know, it's really easy to make almond milk. You put almonds and water in a blender and you blend them. And if you want, then you can squeeze it in a nut milk bag or an unbleached towel or something like that and get all the pulp out. But that's really all it is. And then you can avoid all of the other chemicals like the carrageenans and stuff like that. So just mentioning that. So this is my protein powder.
Oh, neat. Does it have spirulina in it?
It does.
I was wondering because that looked kind of like the color of it.
Yep, it sure does. So I put that in there and then some coconut oil. Yeah, cleaned up as I was going and now I can't find what I. So you get some good fats in there. This summer when I'd be using my coconut oil, it was just like melted.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
It got pretty warm here. It gets pretty cold and it gets pretty warm. And having good oils or good fats, I should say, in your is good for your digestion because it helps. It helps so you're not constipated. And so that means that you're not absorbing all the toxins from anything that's been stuck up there. And let's see. Oh, the oats. I have a farmer who lives locally that grows organic oats. And, so I get this from him. You can make quick oats by just, again, running it through your, coffee grinder. You don't want to grind it so it's a flour, just like a zit, and it, because all it quick oats are regular rolled oats that are chopped up,
Mhm.
because they cook faster. So, and I think that's it. I am gonna put a little salt in it. Salt makes things sweeter. So,
You wouldn't think of it that way, though. I think of, if I'm gonna sweeten something, I think about putting stevia in it. I don't think about salt sweetening.
yeah,
So
it does.
that's a good tip.
Yeah, it does. My grandkids still don't believe me when I tell them that. Right.
So
Does it bring out the sugars in the other foods?
Yeah, it just, so like when I was growing up, we would eat just grapefruit, cut it in half, and we put a little, salt on it because it took care of the tartness, but made it sweeter. So, no,
oh, good.
I've been told that Zoom or whoever automatically quiets my blender noise. So let me know if it's too loud. Oh, I suppose I should turn it on, huh? Is it okay? You don't hear it much?
No. It sounds like something underwater.
Right? Like somebody's talking underwater, but it's pretty
Yeah,
quiet.
it does.
Or back in the day when you used to rewind cassettes and you could hear it go. That's what it
Yep.
sounded like.
It did. That's good.
See, and it's green.
There you go. So what kind of protein powder was it?
It's called Puritae, Puratae.
Okay.
And that's the one I'm using right now. I kind of go back and forth between different ones. I actually kind of like Dr. Axe's ancient mineral ones. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Smell the apples. There.
It
So
looks
how much
good.
stay in a jar?
It tastes really good.
I bet.
Like the experiment with the spices is good. It's not overpowered by anything, quite frankly.
I was
So-
going to the lab to get some blood work done, and I had made a smoothie, and it was greens with blueberries and cinnamon. And the blue with the green kind of turned a brownish kind of color. So I walked in with my drink, and the lady calls my name, and I still had some drink left in the jar. And she goes, is this something we're sending to get tested?
Oh, yeah, that really did look kind of brownish, didn't it?
I started laughing, and I said to the lady, it's my smoothie. And she goes, it looks like something the lab should be testing.
Oh man. Yeah,
It
the
was
blueberries and the
too
grains
funny.
are pretty funky.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put my quinoa in here. And so this actually should be good. So my granddaughter does virtual schooling. And this is something that she can have for lunch.
Nice.
I mean, it's a really nice, easy salad bowl that you can have for lunch.
That's
Um,
nice.
it's a good potluck item.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting at my church potlucks, everybody goes, "Oh, we know which one Lynn made."
The healthy one.
Yeah.
I take that as a compliment. So there we've got one main meal that you can have on hand and prepped and ready to go. And it really didn't take that long to make. We've got a smoothie so that you can again put that in your jars. You can have that prepped and ready to go. You can actually freeze smoothies
I
so
was just
that, yeah,
Oops.
yep.
Sorry, Nina.
Just make sure you have a little extra space on the top, so when you take it out of the
As it
freezer,
expands.
yeah. And then you've got a dressing that actually, if you use a little less, maybe mayonnaise, could be thick enough for a dip.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
actually, maybe it is already thick enough for a dip. So, you know, for veggies or something, definitely, were you thinking chips? It would work for chips too. And you could take Rose's leftover carrot pulp, mix it with a combination of chia seeds and flaxseed gel and whatever other types of spices you want to put in there, and put it in your dehydrator. If you have a dehydrator, you could
I do.
yeah, or if you don't have a dehydrator, you can put it in the oven at the lowest temperature, and you can make crackers or like a bread, like a wrap type thing.
So are you soaking the flax seed
Yep.
then before? So it makes a
Yep.
gel, right?
Yep, flax and chia make a gel. So you could put them
Yep.
together. Yep. And then you mix that in with your pulp and then your spices, and you lay it out, and there you go. And you can make crackers.
I
So
kind of
after,
do a similar thing with granola,
yep.
adding the nuts and seeds and stuff to it.
So yeah, it's good stuff.
Thank
know?
you, because it was just killing me to think about throwing that away.
Oh yeah.
I thought I got to come up with something here, and I wasn't sure what to do, and so I made soup.
That what you made sounds amazing. I would definitely be eating that.
It's really good.
If there's something else you want to do, now you have 2 ideas.
Yeah, I will try that. I love my dehydrator.
Yeah, well, I don't use it much during the summer, but I'll be starting to use it now with different things being harvested. And
Mm-hmm.
you can dehydrate tomato slices and then run them through your blender or whatever, and you get a tomato powder. So if you want to put it in something to make it thicker and have that tomato paste, there you go, maybe. You can use the tomato powder. So it's another way to preserve.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds good, because then if you put it in a canning jar, you got it sealed.
Right, you
This
use
works.
the food saver attachment with the vacuum seal. It sucks out all the air, and so it lasts that much longer.
Is that a separate container?
It's a separate appliance, so if you buy a food saver, you could buy the appliance that goes with it that sticks on the food saver, and it creates like a
Okay.
vacuum seal, so it sucks the oxygen out and it'll last much longer.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn. I got a buzz.
Yep, me too.
All right.
So-
Thanks, ladies.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for being
Bye.
here.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye, Rose.
Bye, Lynn.